Hello, and today we are going to be going over and adding information for our Roman Republic review worksheet found on page 15 in your folder. The Roman Republic, reminder, republic is a form of government where the citizens have the right to vote. And the Romans set up this form of government once they drove out the Etruscans, and they said they never, ever, ever want another king. So I have the choices along the side, and I'm just going to be dragging them in as we talk through. So Roman numeral 1 says Rome's government. Early Romans were divided into two classes called the patricians and the plebeians. Now the patricians were rich patricians, wealthy landowners, and the plebeians were the common, everyday, ordinary people. Now both patrician and plebeian men, again, not women, but men, both patrician and plebeian men were considered Roman citizens. So they had rights as Roman citizens, but only the patricians could serve in the government. And if you're getting the right to vote, only the patricians are getting the right to vote in the government then. Now, their government structure in their Roman Republic has many similarities to ours. We have copied a lot of the things that they did. So the two top government officials were called consuls, and they were elected every year to head the government and run the army. So this would be like our president and our vice president, two top officials. Now the other officials that they had were praetors. Now those praetors are similar to what we call our Supreme Court. They interpret the law and they act as judges in the court cases. Now, Rome's most important legislative body was the Senate. Legislative is a big word that means laws. So the people who are making the laws are in the Senate. Hey, that's the same as our United States. What's different is in early Rome, only the patricians were the ones who could serve in the government, who could be senators. Now, the Assembly of Centuries are the ones who elected the consuls. That's kind of a minor detail. You won't need to remember that. Then, if you're starting to think, hey, that's not fair, the plebeians should have the rights too, they got upset. And the plebeians led a revolt. And they said, this isn't fair. You're not allowing us to have a say in what is happening. So they went on strike. And if you think, well, what's important about the plebeians anyway? They're not really that important. I want to show you a picture from modern times. Here's a series of pictures of what has happened in various cities around the world when garbage workers, people that we wouldn't necessarily think of as the most important members of our society sometimes. However, when those garbage workers went on strike, this is what the scenes became in our modern cities. So let's go back to ancient Rome. When the plebeians went on strike and quit doing their work, it didn't take long before the patricians said, okay, you can have some say in the government, and we're going to give you the council of the plebs. So the Senate was the most important, and then the council of the plebs. In the United States today, we have the Senate, who's the most important, and we have the House of Representatives, so very similar. Now, in Rome, if the area was in an emergency or a crisis or a danger, and you didn't want to go through all of the governmental things, they would appoint one person in charge. And the one person that was the most famous one they put in charge was Cincinnatus. And his title was a dictator. Now in Rome, what the dictator was supposed to do is get them through the emergency, take care of the crisis, be the one person in charge, and then when the crisis is over, they would go back to their normal world and the republic would take over. Cincinnatus was the dictator for 22 days while Rome was in crisis, and then he went back to his farming job. I guess you could think about a crisis or emergency or danger as what we're going through right now. And in Rome, they felt they needed one person in charge then. The 12 tables and the law of nations were what the Romans used to write down all of their laws. So when the plebeians revolted, they got to set up their own body of representatives, and the 12 tables were made. And these 12 tables were bronze tablets where they engraved all of the laws that applied to everyone. Those standards of justice are still accepted today, amazingly. All right, then we went into a time of expansion. The First Punic War was fought against Carthage for the control of the island of Sicily. The Second Punic War featured their greatest general, Hannibal, and he was defeated at the Battle of Zama. And finally, when these Punic Wars were done, by 129 BC, Rome had conquered Carthage, Greece, Spain, Sardinia, Sicily, and it even got its first province in Asia. So Rome was growing and the Republic was thriving.